Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today we're going to make class Valentines. So we're going to make something really simple and oh so darling, but this is a concept that you could apply to any kind of Valentine that you wanted to make. So I'm going to show you how to search and find for the shapes that you want to work with. I'm going to show you how to add the text to it. I'm going to show you how to use your pen tool with your machine. Now today we're going to be using the Cricut Joy, but you can do this project with your Cricut Explore or your Maker. If you've not already, please hit that subscribe button and join me for all my future videos. I want to teach you how to use your machine, and I want to teach you how to use Cricut Design Space so that you really enjoy doing your crafts. Okay guys, so let's hop over to Cricut Design Space. I'll show you what we're doing today, and then we'll go over to the craft table and we'll put it all together. Let's get going. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and so the very first thing that you want to do is to go on the home page and hit the New button. You want a clean canvas for your project. And if you're already working in Cricut Design Space, it's over in the left-hand navigation. You can see it right here. Okay, so once you have a clean canvas, we're going to go into Images here in the left-hand navigation and select a shape. And I'm making these really fun, like your awesome sauce to put on applesauce packets. And it's going to be really, really cute. But this concept could be great for any kind of pun that you can think of. So let's just go over into Images and I'll show you how we do this. So once in Images, I'm just going to type in apple. Or you could type in apple core, or just depending on what you are looking for. Now, I design for Cricut Design Space, and so I actually have an apple design. And so let's just see if I can't find my own really quick. Okay, here it is. And so on mine, I actually have not only an apple, but I have an apple and a core. So we're just going to go ahead and insert. Okay, so now that we have this, and this is the cut version, you can hide or delete the items that you don't want. So I have two apples because I wanted to say in big lettering, you know, your awesome sauce. And then I wanted to have a separate one that said, you know, Happy Valentine's Day. Your friend Addie. Addie's my niece. And you could do that on the core one as well. I mean, that would be really fun, right? If you put you know, some of the message on the inside of the core. But I'm just going to use, only because I want to maximize my writing space, I'm going to use just two standard apples. So if we go over and just start eliminating all of the pieces, and I do want to keep the leaf, but what we can do now that we just have one item, we're going to go up into the top here and select color. And so now I'm going to be able to have a red apple. I did measure my packet and I decided that, you know, 3 inches or so is perfect. Now what that means is if you look here at the grids, my apple itself is really only about 2 inches. It's including the stem and the leaf. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll click on your apple and you can go up into your top navigation and you can put your size in. So I'm just going to say roughly 3. Okay, so now my apple is the right size. And the very next thing that I want to do once I've gotten my apple, and again guys, this could be any shape you want to work with, but then you go into text. And so we're going to go into text and we're going to pick a specific type of font. So in style right here, you'll see that they have regular, italic, bold, bold italic, and writing. Now when we're using our pen tool, you want to make sure that you pick a writing font. If you choose regular, it will write it. It will still write it or draw it for you, but it's not going to look like normal writing. It's going to literally be most likely 2-level. Meaning that it's going to be like an outline of text. It's not going to be just written. Okay, so what we want to do then is go into fonts, and here there's a filter choice. Now you see that I've already been in there and I chose Fontastic. It's some really cute kind of kid whimsy fonts. But if you go over into filter, you can actually choose writing. And so the only thing that's going to pop up are all of the writing fonts. And so that way you kind of get an idea of what is available and you can go through and pick. Okay, so for this particular project, we're going to use Fontastic. So let's just pick one. We'll do this one. And then you'll go in and type out your message. So if we're going to do your Awesome. And then sauce. Okay, so then I'm going to take this over to the side, and I need to make that fit my apple, right? So the first thing that I want to do is there's way too much space between each of these words. And so I'm going to go into line space here and then just start reducing that number. And you could go ahead and just take it down to 0, hit enter, but you see there's still way much in my opinion. So we can go ahead and start reducing it with negative. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I did forget to put my exclamation point, so I'm just going to go back in and do that, exclamation point. Okay, and so I want to make sure that I have the writing, and I do. And then I may use this one. I think that's the one that I used here. I like that one a little bit better. Okay, so now that I have that, that's still too large to put over top of my apple, right? So I'm going to go into font size, and I'm thinking I'm going to take this down to about 40. And just see, okay, great. So now it's a workable size, and I may even make that a little bit bigger so that it fits in my apple. Okay, so now the first thing I want to do once I've got my font on my apple, I want to go up into alignment, and I'm going to center it. And now that doesn't center it with the apple, it just centered it with itself. And so then to center it with the apple, I want to click on the apple, and then I want to use my shift key and click on my lettering, and I want to go into align, and I'm going to center that horizontally. I must have been pretty close on, and I'm going to center it vertically. Now the only problem with vertical is you see it's incorporating the leaf top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have to move it down. Whoops. I want to click on just the font. Now I know it's centered horizontally, so I'm just going to move it down a little bit with my arrow key. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now that we have those two things in place, I'm going to click back on just the lettering, and I want to go up into the top, and so you see that it's drawing it, right? You can see cut, draw, so you could still change that to cut if you wanted to. I'm going to go into the color, and now this is where you're going to be able to pick your pen type and your color. And I actually want to use a marker. These are really cool pens. I love the markers. And I'm going to use the blue metallic. And so you see now it shows much more, closely to how that's going to write. Now what you want to do is I'm going to click off of both of them, and I'm going to capture both of them. Now you can do this with a shift key, or you can drag over the top of it. And once you have those two items together, you want to attach them. So here, just below your navigation, you're going to be able to select attach. And so now when you click on your apple, see, it all moves as one piece. And so now when it goes to matte, it's going to do the same thing. So if you would go ahead and then duplicate your apple and type on Happy Valentine's Day, your friend, the same as we did it before, but I chose to use a copper metallic pen for the message, and then I did my niece's name in that same blue metallic. And I think it's going to turn out really, really pretty. Okay, so now that we have those two things, I'm just going to click on this apple and just hide that because I already have the two designed. Okay, so now that everything is ready, we're just going to go up and check a couple of things. So we already have our Joy identified. That's the machine that we're going to be using today. You could click down, you could make this on your Maker or your Explore, but we're going to use our Joy. And so now let's go ahead and select Make It. Okay, and we're going to be using paper, actually like a pearl paper, so I'm going to do this on the mat. Okay, and so now that we have this, and it's giving me a little tutorial here, I got that. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to load up our mat, and we're going to load up our paper. And if you want to, if you have the 4.5 by 12 mat, then when you click on this, you could do that, and so see, you can get one full on one. Now, I am a lover of saving materials. So if you get to this point and you're like, if I made that apple just a little bit smaller, I could get a whole nother one on there. So let's just see if that would actually work anyway at the size that we are. And let me fix this mat. See, oh wow, we would actually be able to get a third on it anyway. And so we wouldn't have to resize our apple. We could keep it just the way that it is. Very cool. And so the thing is then you've multiplied your mat, and now you can just continue to do that. So instead of having to go back in and rerun the project each time, you can just go ahead and set up how many ever of these Valentines that you want here in project copies, and then it's going to go ahead and set up all of those mats. And so you just need to go, sit with your Cricut Joy and feed in the paper and watch the prompts, because when you're using multiple pens, it's actually going to tell you or prompt you which pen to put in the machine each time you go in. And when you use pens, you will always write first and cut second. Okay, so now we can hit continue. Okay, so now it's found the Cricut Joy, and what we want to do is set our base material. So these are going to only be your favorites, and so you can click on popular and it's going to show you more choices, or you can go into browse all materials and will show you everything that the Cricut Joy can cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse all materials and go down into paper, not cardstock, but paper, and I am going to choose pearl paper. Okay, and hit done. Okay, and so now what we need to do is go over to the craft table, and we're going to have our gold marker, our gold metallic marker, and our blue metallic marker. And see here, it even tells us coming up next is the blue metallic, and then our fine point blade. Okay, so let's go over to the craft table. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and we're just going to use a few things today. So I have my Cricut Joy, I have my Cricut Joy markers. So this is a blue metallic, gold metallic, and a silver. These come in a pack together. And I have my pearl paper. This is actually called Scarlet, and this is a Cricut paper. It's kind of like it's literally shimmers. It's really pretty. And then this is a light grip mat, and I chose to use the light grip because this is a paper, not a cardstock. If you're using cardstock, you'll probably want to use the green mat. And I am using a 4.5 by 12 just so I can maximize and get as many Valentines out of the cut as possible. Now this is my paper trimmer. I use it not only for paper but all of my projects, just because I want to keep as much of my material as I can. So if you ever watch my videos, I use this guy all the time. I'll put a link down below to this tool. This and my clear ruler I literally use for like everything. Okay, and so the other thing that you don't see here that we're going to use is I'm going to have my applesauce packets, and I'm going to have ribbon. By the way, if you are using your Cricut Maker or your Cricut Explore, Joy pens will not fit those two machines, but they have these exact same colors in the size for the Maker and the Explorer. They use the same size, but the Joy is actually a smaller pen. Okay guys, let's move all this out of the way and get started with our first cut. Okay, so the thing I like most about this paper trimmer is it actually has a ruler on both sides. So this is a ruler and this is a ruler, so you're really able to just trim out what you need, but we need 4.5 by 12. So we're actually just going to strip it down the middle, and then because darn, I didn't start at the top. Let me fix that. And then because we are using a 12 by 12 sheet, we're actually going to be able to get a second strip out of this. So just go to 4.5. And then we'll save this piece for another project later. So now we are able to get multiple apples out of one sheet of cardstock. Okay, so let's go ahead and put one of these on our mat. And so it's just like any other project, you just want to make sure that you're along the edge. Now you can rub that down with your hands, or you can use the scraping tool depending on what type of paper you're using. Okay, so we'll move our Cricut Joy back into frame. Okay. Okay, so when you're on your desktop or you're on the app, it's going to tell you what goes first. And when you are using your pen tools, they will always come before the cut. So you're going to want to take out your blade, and then it's going to tell you which pen to use first. Since we're using two colors of pen, just make sure that you choose the right one. So we're going to be using gold first. You set it in and just close the clamp. Now if you're using an Explorer or a Maker, you're actually going to push the pen in until you hear it click. There is no click with the Cricut Joy, okay? So now once that's in, go ahead and select go. Okay, so now that the gold is done, we just take that pen out and go ahead and put in the blue. Close the clamp. Okay, and so now the last thing we do is open the clamp, take out the pen, and put the blade back in. And now it's going to cut out our apples. Okay, so now we just select unload. And so then we're able to move our Joy out of the way. And on the light grip mat, or any mat, candidly, what I suggest is that you always bend the mat and not the material. That way it will release your paper without bending your project. The mat can take it. So we're just going to kind of bend our mat, kind of let the paper pop off. And that way we don't tear up our apple. Okay, so what did you think? That was really easy, right? It was really easy and it turned out really cute. And I hope that your kids will love either this concept or whatever fun you think up that you can make with your machine. Hop down in the description below and check out all the materials that we used here today. And I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join me for all my future videos. I want to teach you how to use your machine and I want you to love working with your machine. Okay guys, see you next time.